Do you believe that an authority figure can lead a person to commit unethical actions? Although the majority of people would say that an authority figure could not procure the innocent, the Milgram experiment proves otherwise. Recently, I have noticed that people still tend to listen to authority figures without thinking about their actions. This encouraged me to research the topic further, where I came across the Milgram experiment, which was conducted to understand why Hitler's followers would commit such horrible crimes in the Holocaust. First, I'm going to explain what the Milgram experiment is and why is it important and what we can learn from it. Sal McLeod, a psychology teaching assistant and published researcher for the University of Manchester, wrote an article called The Milgram Shock Experiment, which explains what the experiment consists of. The Milgram experiment was conducted in 1963 by Stanley Milgram. Milgram was a psychologist at Yale University, and he wanted to examine the reasons for the acts of genocide during World War II. The experiment focused on conflicts of obeying an authority figure and following personal morals. Participants in this experiment were told that they were participating in a research experiment to improve memory. They were each assigned roles to be teacher or learner, and the teacher would say phrases to the learner, and the learner would have to reply with a matching phrase. If the learner answered incorrectly, the teacher would administer a shock to the learners while slowly increasing the voltage with each wrong answer. The voltage levels range from 15 volts, which was a slight shock, to 450 volts, which could lead to death. However, the learner was actually an actor, and the teacher was not actually administering shocks to anybody. In the article, McLeod provides a video to help better explain the process. In the video, you can see the teacher slowly getting upset and protesting the experiment because the person in the other room would start screaming and banging on the wall, saying he couldn't handle the shocks anymore. The participants began claiming that they don't want to kill the person in the other room. The experimenter, who was really just an actor in a lab coat, would encourage him to continue with the experiment. Despite the participants disagreeing with the action, they would continue on with the experiment, showing that if an authority figure gave us an order that went against our beliefs, eventually we would comply with them. The Milgram experiment showed the public how, when put in stressful situations, we often go along with whatever an authority figure has to say. Kendra Cherry, a psychosocial rehabilitation specialist, states in her article that out of the 40 participants in the study, 26 of them were willing to deliver the maximum shock of 450 volts to the subject. The participants were in a lot of distress trying to continue with the experiment, as they were told, making them more subject to follow through with it. In this experiment, it also shows how people were willing to go through with the experiment just because they thought they would not be responsible if the other person in the other room was seriously injured or even killed. As a community, we need to realize that we are responsible for our own actions, and using the excuse, "I was just following orders," when you did something unethical does not justify your actions. People like to put blame on others, especially on authority figures. However, if we can take the responsibility to know when an action is unethical and avoid doing it, we can prevent genocides like the Holocaust. Although this experiment took place over 50 years ago, people are still subject to going against their morals because of what an authority figure has told them. A recent example of this is when President Donald Trump has suggested that light and disinfectants could be the cure for the coronavirus. An article by Fox News explains what President Trump and his officials have to say about curing the virus. In the article, it provides a clip of a briefing with Donald Trump as he discusses if heat could be a solution to getting rid of the virus. Although he states that he is not a doctor and he's only suggesting ideas to help cure the virus, a lot of people could take this the wrong way and will follow through with this idea. During the pandemic, people are looking for answers and not suggestions, and many people are willing to do whatever authorities tell them, even if it sounds unreasonable. So, in conclusion, I believe that not all authority figures know what they're talking about, and you should be mindful of who you listen to. I hope you learn to take the time to really think about your actions to prevent something terrible happening to not only yourself, but others around you.